Hello, citizens of the Distortion World. It is I, the Ninja Nick 333, and we are back with another round of Japan's Champions League tournament. Looks like we have a Gardevoir deck here of some sort on the right. We've seen a couple of those on stream already. They are pretty interesting to see. It is nice to see these Stage 2 decks kind of coming back into favor a little bit. I would like to see more of those come forward. However, I think we will still need one additional rotation before that really happens. We are going to need to see that Mew VMAX deck really rotate out of the format before we can really see Stage 2s come back into full force. Mew will still be at essentially almost full power when rotation happens. This tournament is played in E-block format. The rotation has happened and we have no more D-block cards. Looks like this is an Arceus deck. Scarlet and Violet are also legal. Both of those sets have come out in Japan, both Scarlet and Violet. We will be getting them as a combined set, a Scarlet and Violet base set. As always, we never really have the two split sets being released simultaneously like Japan does. We always get all of the cards lumped together, which I'm not opposed to. Makes things a little bit easier to get all of the cards for. And we are seeing if we're going to get into this game here. Again, do believe this is an Arceus deck versus some sort of Gardevoir deck. So it looks like we start Bidoof and Ralts. So I do want to look up what this Bidoof does, because it has not come up in any of the... Okay, this is a card that we already have in format. Carefree Countenance. As long as this Pokemon is on your bench, prevent damage done to this Pokemon by attacks. Oh, it has its own bench barrier ability. It's a lot like the Shell Shield Squirtle of old that we used to play in the Kelio Blastoise decks. This card looks like it came from Crown Zenith. So yeah, if you're going to be playing these decks, the extra 10 HP that you get from the rollout Bidoof no longer really matters. You want to play this Bidoof that does not take bench damage. It is a lot better. If it had some sort of other ability, maybe then you would still want to play... maybe you would still want to play the 70 HP one, but since it protects itself from damage, that's definitely how you want to... Oh my god, is that the alt art Bidoof as well? Oh my god, the alt art Bidoof, the full art one? Oh my god, that's the Carefree Countenance one. I'm gonna have to get those. Okay, that's just me distracting myself. I bought a bunch of cards last night, and that was not one of them, because I did not realize. So I'm gonna have to get into some of those. So we are just going to pass the turn over here to the Ralts deck. We are going to be using our Fog Crystal in order to search our deck for either a basic Psychic Pokemon or basic Psychic Energy. Very much reminiscent of Nest Ball that would search your deck for a basic Grass or basic Grass Pokemon or Energy. But we are going to get a Ralts here. We are going to likely be benching that this turn. We are going to yawn because we cannot stop doing that. Also, Japan gets all of these really cool sleeves. I just wish that they were good quality sleeves. See, in Japan, you do that Japan shuffle, as I mention all the time, where you just basically cut the deck a bunch of times. Most of the players in Japan do that. Not all of them. I have seen quite a few on the stream that are shuffling correctly. Well, what I would consider correctly, at least. But, yeah, if you are not mass shuffling, the fact that your sleeves are bad don't really matter too much. See, that's that Japan shuffle I was talking about. But he's doing a real shuffle in between. We do see the Zacian V, the Psychic type one that does allow you to search your deck for a Psychic Energy and then end your turn by attaching it to one of your Pokemon. So we are going to see it come down, a Psychic Energy be attached from hand, using its ability to get an additional Psychic Energy, and then that is the turn. So this is looking like a very standard Gardevoir EX deck. I have seen some lists for this that are from this tournament, and it is very important to note. So this is a 4-4-5 Gardevoir line. So it's 1 of the Ralts with Memory Skip, and then 3 of the one that can teleport to the bench. Then it's 3 of the Refinement Curlia that can discard 1 to draw 2. Along with 1 Curlia that essentially has the Shadow Duplicates attack from the Frogadier that we used to have, where if you attack with it for 1 Psychic Energy, you can get 3 Curlia from your deck and put them onto the bench. And then there's also 3 of the Gardevoir that has the alt art with the Doctor in the background. Allows you to draw 2 cards. If either of those are basic energies, you can attach them to your Pokemon. Otherwise, those cards just go straight to your hand. And then 2 of the Gardevoir EX, which can do 190 with its 3 energy attack. And it can also accelerate a Psychic Energy from your discard pile onto 1 of your Pokemon in play, but you have to put 2 damage counters on the Pokemon you're attaching it to. And you cannot knock out a Pokemon with that ability. So if your Pokemon only has 20 HP left, you cannot put an energy on it from discard. That is very important because you can intentionally do that at times to make sure that you can make your opponent say, take prize cards, and then that would activate your Roxanne and you can play it in the same turn. Things like that. So we do see Bibarel come down, will allow him to draw until he has 5 cards in his hand. Has a Flying Pikachu down, so this looks like it is a Flying Pikachu VMAX Arceus V-Star deck. Looks like there are both fighting energies and water energies in there as well, so I'm going to be a little curious to see, yep, that we see all 3 of those energies come down to the Pikachu. So I'm going to be curious to see what are the alternate attackers in here besides just the Flying Pikachu. Maybe we could see something really funny like Crabominable. I think that maybe someone earlier in the tournament was playing Ice Rider, but I think that's bad. So I would really like to see exactly what else. It looks like we do have Melanie, so maybe we're playing the water energies just for the ability to use Melanie. Looks like the Curlia does come down with Refinement. We are going to be able to discard a card and draw 2. Looks like we get rid of the Sky Seal Stone, which is a very interesting decision. That's 1 less prize card that you can take over the course of this game now. The Sky Seal Stone in this deck only works on the Zacian. Because it is the only Pokemon V that you play in this deck. We do see a Temple of Sinnoh come down as well that will make all special energies 1 colorless. So if we want to attack with this Arceus V-Star, again, we will have to attach an additional energy, but at least we will be having the bonus of not having the minus 20 on this Pokemon anymore. So we are going to just hit for, looks like 150 with Zacian V's attack. I believe it does do extra damage based on how much Psychic Energy is attached. We are going to Ultra Ball away Flying Pikachu and looks like maybe another Bibarel. We are going to likely be getting another attacker that we will want to set up with this Arceus. It would also be really great to see something along the lines of a Choice Belt. Looks like we are going to actually get the Pumpkaboo. That way we can discard the Temple of Sinnoh. We won't have to attach another additional energy to our active Pokemon here. We are going to see Flying Pikachu VMAX get evolved here. That big chunky boy. We have a Boss's Orders as well. We could play that. We may want to get rid of the Curlia. Yes. So yeah, pick off the Curlias 1 by 1 since those are the consistency options for your opponent. Make sure that they have as few outs to drawing more cards as possible. I used to always chase down Zoruas when Zoroark GX was a thing in just the same way. We are also going to see the Flying Pikachu attack this turn. The attack of the Flying Pikachu makes it so your opponent's basic Pokemon cannot damage it on this next turn. So because we bossed around the Zacian, The only way that this player is going to be able to do any damage with Zacian is with their own boss's orders yet again onto the Arceus V-Star on the bench. The Flying Pikachu is now the bigger threat, so we're going to have to try to build our way up to a Gardevoir EX in order to try to contest that. So we do see the Ultra Ball come out, or no, it looks like maybe that was a research instead. We also play Collapse Stadium, that will make it so both players' benches are only 4 Pokemon. And we're going to get a Fog Crystal here, that will likely get us either another Psychic Energy or another Ralts, most likely. There is the other Ralts, so we are going to try to build up as many of these Gardevoir lines here as possible. Yep, so here is Ralts. We're going to attach an energy for turn to the Kirlia. And we are using the ability of the Zacian. We know we can't attack this turn, so might as well just use the ability and pass the turn. We're not going to be... Well, I guess we could use the attack. We would just be doing 0 damage, so... So turn passes to the opponent. We are going to see a Nest Ball allow us to search our deck for any basic Pokemon, put it directly onto the bench. Probably going to get maybe another... I guess not, maybe another Flying Pikachu. What would we get here? Oh, he's playing Zapdos. So Zapdos does attack for less energy depending on the amount of V Pokemon your opponent has in play and can discard a special energy from the Pokemon you hit into. Looks like we are choosing to just fail the Nest Ball instead. We don't want that Zapdos in play. It is weak to Psychic, very important to note, so it will get one shot by pretty much any of the attackers here from this Psychic deck. So it looks like maybe we might just want to attack with Pikachu again. We probably don't have another boss's orders. If we did, we would want to use that on this Kirlia yet again. We would go down to 3 prize cards remaining, which would not be ideal, but you'd rather take a 2 prize knockout. But looks like we are going to go for the research. Looks like the new Professor Sada research, also known as Professor Mommy, some people call her, because she is the mom of Arven. That's totally why they call her that. We saw a couple judges get discarded. We know that our opponent doesn't necessarily have that great of a hand, so we didn't want to disrupt that. We're going to see the double turbo energy here come down now. Onto the Arceus, so we will be able to attack again potentially in the future. We are going to Ultra Ball away the Zapdos along with another Arceus V just to thin the deck a little bit more. We are going to Beaver Roll for a couple cards as well, draw until we have 5 once per turn. Looks like we're not really drawn into whatever we necessarily want. Again, the best thing to get here would have been the boss's orders again. And of course, you already played a supporter for turn, so that's, again, not really ideal here. We are just going to bench a... Alright, we are just going to bench a another Arceus V. My brain is not working today. And we are going to retreat for free with the Flying Pikachu that has no retreat cost because he is covered in balloons. He is quite literally the house from Up. This is what you mean when you call somebody a house. They are big, large, and in charge, just like this Pikachu. And we are going to see the Trinity Nova will load up this second Arceus V. So those fighting energies are likely just for that. Why is Mewtwo V Union on screen? I hope that this deck is not playing Mewtwo V Union. That seems like that would be very bad. It would be a waste of 4 deck spaces in my opinion. It's too hard to get set up. It's really only good in the control decks, and sometimes you can just play without it. But yeah, it looks like those fighting energies are just for the Zapdos V as an option to attack with that. And maybe the water energy is just for the Melanie. That way, you can potentially, if you miss a turn 1 energy, you could potentially still attack with Trinity Nova on turn 2. Using Starbirth, you can always try to set something up like that. Maybe an Ultra Ball and a Melanie to discard a water energy you have in hand and get it that way. So we do finally see the Gardevoir EX. I already explained what that does earlier. It is a 2-prize Pokemon, but it is a Stage 2. Took a while to get to here, especially through those boss's orders. Zacian has a lot of damage on it, but it is still alive. We are going to be able to attach an energy from hand. Looks like there are no energies in the discard pile, so we will not be using the ability of the Gardevoir just yet. We are going to retreat Zacian, which will now allow this Gardevoir to use its ability. And we will put 2 damage counters on ourselves, since we are the one that we attach the energy to. And we are going to now go for the knockout. Finishing that off with the 190 damage attack. So now this Flying Pikachu is not going to be doing too much. Because it will only be able to do 160 to this Gardevoir. That will be short of a knockout here. We can... let's see. I think Gardevoir EX has 230 HP, if I'm remembering correctly. So it should still have 210, so the Arceus itself would still be 10 short. Galarian Zigzagoon, I believe, was rotated. So we will not be able to use that. And Choice Belt will not work because Gardevoir is an EX Pokemon. Looks like that Bibarel does grab Double Nest Ball. And we're probably just going to be failing those just because we want to get them out of the hand. We are going to fail this next one as well. Unless we really want to get another Arceus or something. I'm not sure what that... I think there was a basic Pokemon in there. What else we got here? Yeah, so it's weird. This Arceus deck is in a really weird, a really odd position here. Just because this Gardevoir deck, like all of a sudden now that it has a Gardevoir, you know, like your Pokemon can't really one-shot this thing. Oh, looks like he is playing a Mewtwo V. Alright, just make your deck less consistent. Okay, that's fine, whatever. Again, players in areas that are not called North America like to play some pretty odd things in their decks at times. But, I mean, hey, they're 6-0 at this point, so something about it must be working out for them. So, this Gardevoir player will still have to go through either the Flying Pikachu and a 1-prizer, or the Arceus V-Star and the Flying Pikachu, most likely. So we are going to have to see this Gardevoir attack here. This may give the Arceus player enough turns to win the game. They only need 2 prize cards, and they can just 2-shot this Gardevoir that is here. So they could always retreat into the Arceus and attack. The Gardevoir would just hit for another 190, and then that is another attack for game. So we're going to have to see this second Gardevoir get set up there on the bench. We do have the Refinement Curlia now. So that is 1 Pokemon away, essentially. We do see the Path to the Peak has come down that shuts off the abilities of Rule Box Pokemon, which is very great wording the way that they did it, because that does shut off the Pokemon EX abilities since they are Rule Box Pokemon. Usually they will say like V Pokemon or something. And then, like with the Choice Belt, it only works on V Pokemon. Looks like we benched Drapion. I'm not quite sure why we're doing that. Maybe it's just to thin it out of hand and deck. But I feel like that gives your opponent another option to win the game, because now they can just boss his orders and hit for 190. Does Drapion resist Psychic? I don't think Drapion has a resistance, but if it does resist Psychic, it would be fine to bench. It does have 190, I believe, HP, and Gardevoir is hitting 190. So if resistance does come into play, then you would be able to live 2 hits. But if there is no resistance, then I believe that that is just a bad call. So we have 200 on this Gardevoir now. We did retreat the Pikachu into the Arceus and do the attack as I said was going to happen. So now the question is, will we be able to remove the path and get the second Gardevoir EX onto the bench here, evolving that Kirlia? So we are going to discard 1 to draw 2. We are going to discard a Psychic Energy, which will allow us to use a potential double ability with the... Oh, we do have a Temple of Sinnoh, so that will be able to replace the Stadium. We'll still be able to use the attack of the Gardevoir. But again, the big question is, do we have something like an Ultra Ball? I don't see any Ball Search whatsoever in hand besides this Level Ball. And this deck only plays 2 Gardevoir EX anyway, so it looks like, again, it is in a bit of a pickle because it is forced to attack with this active. The best it can do is maybe Boss's Orders up the Flying Pikachu on the bench and take 3 prize cards and still be 1 short away from winning the game. So it ended up being a very close game, but the Flying Pikachu did buy the Arceus deck 1 turn and had Boss's Orders on the exact right times. So we are going to be using the ability Heat. Okay, I guess not yet. I know we've used the attack once. Oh, I think maybe he put 180 on it to make a full 200 before, and forgetting that there's no double turbo on the Arceus, so had to put the remaining 2 damage counters on there. Because we did use the ability of the Gardevoir EX before, and I think there was just 100 on it just a second ago, so I believe that was fixed. We're going to see another Zacian V come down. I'm a little surprised they're playing 2 of it. The Temple of Sinnoh comes down. We can now use that ability, but if we do use the ability to our active Pokemon, we lose. Not necessary to even do it, but we are going to attach a Psychic Energy from discard to the Zacian. That will put 2 damage counters on it. And then that will be game, because then your opponent now has the ability to attack for 200 with the Arceus V-Star that will still live. You can't even attack with the Zacian V. So that is the game, and this player on the left ends up going to 7-0. Japan does not have any ties. In the event of a tie, both players actually lose, so it's very important to make sure that you play at a reasonable pace in their 25-minute best-of-1 rounds. So 7-0 is very great going into day 2. They should be guaranteed for day 2, I would assume, at this point. I'm not sure exactly how day 2 cut goes, but it is 9 rounds of Swiss Day 1, 5 rounds of Swiss Day 2, and then a top 16 cut. So I'm not sure if all of the players return for day 2, or if it's just a top percentage, or a certain amount of match points or whatever. But Japan's tournaments are very interesting. I do really like watching these. I don't generally watch Japan tournaments a lot, but since our standard format is going to be like this within a couple of months, it is good to get the jump on it to be able to see exactly what cards will be able to be used in the foreseeable future. Maybe buy those cards online that are already printed, like Regieleki VMAX, for example, like the regular Gardevoirs that can draw 2 and attach energies. Just to make sure that you are prepared for new standard before Scarlet and Violet comes out. So as always, guys, do not forget to comment, like, and subscribe to feed that YouTube algorithm. Make sure this video gets fed by the algorithm to other players as well who are watching there at home, to be able to research stuff like this for the new Scarlet and Violet standard format with the D block rotated out. We will see you guys next time.